Welcome to Design Much with Andy and Patrick.
Hey, Andy.
Hey, Patrick.
Welcome to the Design Much Halloween campfire.
I am super stoked to be here.
Yeah. This is like, we're going to turn this into The Simpsons. Treehouse from Hell or whatever
Treehouse of Horrors.
Yeah, Treehouse of Horrors. We're going to do this every year.
Mm-hmm. And it's important. As a designer, you have to take some time. As a human, you have to take some time and, talk about what scares you, right?
Yeah.
It's important to do that.
Scare each other, Andy.
Yeah.
Well, last year we talked about dark patterns and how scary dark patterns are.
Yeah.
Threw Facebook under the bus a little bit. You got any scary stories, Andy?
I have some scary stories, Patrick.
Nice.
And I wanted to keep this like in the realm of design. I wanted to talk about what has scared me as a designer.
Ooh.
So there's plenty of stuff here, and I'm going to start with my first story. Okay, so my first one was actually one time when I was interviewing for a graphic design position. Already,
I'm scared.
Yeah. And starting out as a graphic designer, like having little, I think this was like my second job, so I'd done it for a year, so I was very early on. Hadn't done too much stuff. Don't have a great portfolio under my belt or anything like that. And it was just the most awkward interview where I went. There was one point where, the thing is, like, that was my problem. Is like I was actually just scared. I was afraid that I didn't have enough skills, and I was afraid that I couldn't actually do the job well enough. Like, there's other designers that were better than me,
yeah.
And so I had no confidence going into it, and I was just like so out of my own head. And there was one point of this interview, it was just where I just don't think my interviewer thought I was being genuine. And she said, "What is your favorite color?"
What is your favorite color?
And I'm like, and I sat there for a second. I'm like, what's my favorite color? I don't even know. And so I after like a long pause, a pregnant pause, if you will, I said green.
Green.
But I said it looking up to the left at a wall that was green. And she's like, did you just say that because you saw this color right here?
Busted. Green.
And I'm like, no, that's my favorite color. It's green. It was just a total coincidence that I looked at that wall.
Yeah.
So I mean, like interviewing as a new designer, as a new anything is scary. Mm-hmm. If you don't know what you're doing, and it's just very intimidating. But I think I've learned, like, you go into some confidence, like that you can do something and you can learn along the way, that it's going to help out a little bit. But yeah, that was a moment for me. That was
just interviewing even now, like, is super scary.
It is, yeah.
Interviewing,
I mean, like
users, interviewing for jobs, all that stuff is scary.
You have to take a lot of time, be really like attentive. You have to listen, which is hard to do. Mm-hmm. And if you just if your mind blanks like mine did at that moment, you're gonna look like an idiot. And that's always on the line, man. It's always on the line.
Well, you don't know if this person's actually gonna murder you either.
Okay.
Maybe they'll get mad and murder you, kidnap you, chop your body up into bits.
Definitely, that's always on the mind too. It's
you have no idea.
I really might mess up my portfolio review, or I might get chopped up into bits. One of those two things is going to happen.
I got really nervous once at a previous job because we were going to interview somebody that was very vocal and very angry in our community about our product.
Okay.
And we were going out to meet this person, me and a PM, and we're going to go talk to them. And we get out there, and I was super nervous because I'm like, we're just going to get yelled at the entire time. Like, this guy's he's going to murder us and chop us into bits, right? Because we're just ripping him off and taking his money or whatever, Like all the stuff that he'd said, talk trash about our app and our company. Mm-hmm. And we get there, and we did the okay, let us know your pains. Let's purge those out first. And he did, man. He tore us apart. And it was scary. It was he wasn't really angry. Like, he wasn't he didn't like yell and scream or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But it was super scary. It was like going in. It was like going in and talking to like a serial killer. Like
you do.
It was like you just don't. It was like Jodie Foster in The Silence of the Lambs. Like we were walking down to that like pit. Going over, and Hannibal Lecter was just standing over there, and he was just glaring at us.
Yeah,
it was super scary, and I didn't enjoy that interview much. And we left, and he was still like not happy.
Okay,
with what we had talked to him about. It was like, I don't know if that was worth it or not. That was super scary.
That's a good one. You know another scary story, Patrick, that happened to me. The first time I released something as a designer, I was so scared that it would get out there, and all of our users would, like what happened to you, all of our users would absolutely hate it. Yeah. And then they'd look back at me and go, "What are you even doing here? Like, what you did this totally wrong, right?" Yeah. It keeps you up at night. The first time I released something,
they meaning not your users, but the people who hired you.
Exactly. They will chop you up into pieces, put you in a freezer, right?
Was that the first time that you ever felt like maybe your job wasn't secure?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you know what, Patrick? I feel that all the time. I'm always.
You don't.
No, what I'm saying, not that my job isn't secure.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is I'm always worried. There's always because
there's always a little bit of.
As a designer, you can't understand 100% that you're building the right thing or that you've designed this thing, because a lot of the things you do, like you're doing research, you're doing testing, but you still have to make some decisions based on gut. Mm-hmm. Some decisions are just snap decisions. Your developer will turn around and be like, "What should we do here? Should we make this be a drop down? Mm-hmm. Should we make this be a whatever?" And you have to make that decision. And all those little decisions add up to something, right? And so you're always a little bit worried as a designer. And that's scary. But the good thing about that fear and that worry is as you get older in your career as a designer, it's actually totally fine to fail. Yeah. It's totally okay.
It's totally okay to mess up.
It's great to mess up every once in a while.
As long as you learn from it and can correct it.
Yes.
And you don't do any long-term damage to anyone.
And you don't kill people.
If you're designing, applications for the medical industry, you want to not fail.
Yeah. You might want to fail in the design process, not when it's out there in the wild, for sure.
You want to fail on like a machine that's developed to replace somebody's lungs. You don't want to fail on that.
That is a spooky project right there. Absolutely.
Fortunately for me, I've never worked in an industry where there was actual life on the line.
Yeah, me too.
Because I would be, I'm scared most of the time anyway. But if you were scared, if you did something like that, it's super scary. I had one of my first interviews when I was in college. I didn't have a portfolio. I made this crappy portfolio, but all it was college work. I didn't have any real design work really at that point. Mm-hmm. Not any. I think I may have one real crappy logo I did freelance or something, but that I thought was good. And I went into this place, and it was an agency. It was a design agency. So I was already intimidated because design agencies are hip people. They're cool people, right? Yeah. Usually.
Very talented people, too.
They dress cool, they drive cool cars and things like that. So you're you pull in, and it was in the hipster part of town, so it was oh, they're even in a loft, it was all cool.
Nice.
And I was I'm so nervous because I'm not this person.
Was it exposed brick?
Yeah, it was the inside
lots
was
of
all
lights.
Exposed brick,
nice.
Old wood, hardwood.
Yeah, there you go.
All this kind of stuff. It was super intimidating just to go in there. And then I go in there and I was supposed to meet the head designer or whatever. Mm-hmm. I can't remember if it was the designer or the owner, probably the same person. But it was a design agency, and I go in and everything was just so cool in there, and I was not cool at all. And I had a Dell computer, and I felt horrible because that was the only computer I could afford when I was in college, was the Dell computer, and everything in there was Mac. It's all Apple.
Absolutely.
Everything was shiny and titanium. And I'm in there with my like bloated Dell laptop. And so he was late. The guy was late. So I sat there with another guy that like brought me in. I don't know who he was, but he was really awkward, and like, or the whole thing was like awkward, and so we're sitting there waiting in the room. So it was a conference room, but they were so cool. They didn't have a conference table. So they had like beanbags and crap in there and like weird chairs.
Beanbags.
So not like normal chairs to just sit in. Like I had to sit in this like sling back weird chair thing. So I'm like sitting in this weird chair, and they had like a coffee table instead of like a conference table.
Okay.
So like my laptop's on the coffee table, and I gotta lean over all the time to like, show them my stuff. It was awkward.
They're playing
cool.
all the power moves they possibly can.
Everything, yeah, everything.
They're going to show up late and make you sit in a weird chair.
Yeah. And then the dude finally came in, and he was like this really tall, skinny dude with cool hair, and he had like sunglasses on inside.
Oh, man.
And he had like a mustache, and that was not when mustaches were cool at all. Like that was straight up hipster. Like nobody had mustaches unless...
So he was like a pioneer then, right?
Yeah, unless you were like legit. And he had like super tight pants on.
Yeah.
And he sat down like in the couch, and he just sat down in the middle of the couch, and he had his phone in his hand. And that was right back when like the iPhone was first like came out.
Okay.
So it was an iPhone, which I was already intimidated by, because I have like my BlackBerry Pearl, like I'm not cool at all. So he comes in, he sits down, and like crosses his legs, and he doesn't introduce himself to me. And he looks at me, and he sits down, crosses his legs, and he had snakeskin boots on.
Whoa. Like
cowboy boots with his like tight jeans, And I look at him, and I was just like, I'm just totally like, this guy is like somebody. If you ask somebody to draw a designer, that's what you would draw. You draw this guy. So he sits down. He's got his iPhone in his hand, and so I'm like, I don't know how to present my work. And they have like this TV on the wall, and I don't have my portfolio up on the wall yet. I don't even have, like, my portfolio is like two crappy things, like a logo and some other school project. And it was done in Flash at the time too, so it had like all this cool animation, and I focused so much time on all the animation and stuff because there was no content. I'm like, I'm gonna make the site super cool. And I sit down, and I'm like, hey, he didn't introduce himself. He's like, okay, why don't you go ahead and present one of your projects that you've been working on? He didn't shake my hand. He didn't ask me anything. And then I'm like, okay. And so I like go to turn the laptop around to show him because I didn't know how to connect it to the thing. And he goes, please put it up on the TV, like kind of like short. And then he just looks at his phone. So then I'm like, okay, how do I do this? And I see like an HDMI hanging down. So find an HDMI, pull out my little adapter for my PC, and I put it on. And then finally get my thing up. It's like a few minutes of me fumbling and shaking. And I get my thing up on the screen. And then, Flash is going like crazy. And I'm like, okay, so the first project is just a school project. We did this group project, and my role was this or that. And he doesn't ever look up at the screen. Like, he's just looking at his phone. And he doesn't ever look up at the screen.
Wow.
So I'm like talking to him, and he's not looking at me or the screen. He's just talking to the thing. So I'm like, the whole entire time I'm thinking this guy's not going to hire me. But I'm so nervous about the whole thing. And so then he finally looks up at the project. He finally looks up at the screen, like glances over at the screen, and he just like interrupts me as I'm like talking, and he goes, "Is this Flash? Is this Action Script?" And I was like, "Yeah," and he goes, "Whatever."
Whoa!
And I was like, "Oh, dude." And so then I awkwardly, while he looked at his phone, I awkwardly presented both my things to him. And then when I was done, he didn't ask me any questions. And he just stood up and walked out.
Dude.
He walked out, and I didn't know what to do. So I just like packed up my stuff and then went and found that other dude that escorted me in. Mm-hmm. And then he asked me a few questions. And then I was out, and I never heard back from him ever. I didn't hear another word from him. It was like so evident I was not built for that place. And it was like, that was like right at the time where I didn't even know, but like Steve Jobs had made some announcement about how Flash was not going to be, like Flash was dead, we're not going to put it on our platform or whatever.
Yeah, that's when they started that battle right there, right?
So I was like, I didn't even know that. And I was like, I was definitely, like I was at the Apple store with this guy and was presenting from a Dell computer a Flash website. So horrible.
That is the most awkward
Well, and
interview I've ever heard.
then when I left, I had to go down the hipster back alley, and then the guy attacked me and murdered me.
And murdered you.
He murdered me. Yeah.
Okay. That's why you're so
And
transparent
then I
right
was,
now.
yeah. Yes. That's why I've always been transparent, Andy.
You've been dead this whole time, Patrick. I didn't even know.
I'm Bruce Willis.
Whoa. Big twist. No, that is a horrible interview.
It's terrible.
I got goosebumps,
Terrible.
man.
That's the worst one
That's
ever.
a scary interview.
I've had a couple other awkward ones, but that one was legit. Like, I remember being scared going into that
Yeah.
interview. Like, I've never been that scared going into an interview before, ever. Even when I was in high school, you know, trying to interview with Lumpy Sandwiches or whatever, I was never that scared.
Yeah.
That was legit scary. That one, too, was a reference from a friend. Like, one of my friends I was in school with had, like, worked there.
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, I was also nervous because I felt like I didn't belong there. But also I didn't kind of, I didn't want to let my buddy down.
Didn't want to let your buddy down.
So horrible.
That's what it's like for me too. When I'm like being dared to walk into a haunted house, I know I'm going to get killed if I go in there.
Mm-hmm.
Don't want to let my buddy down. Got to do it.
Got to do it, man. Or when you're in high school and you took your girlfriend or something to a haunted house,
Mm-hmm.
and you were scared to death. You were the whole entire time. You're just worried that like you're gonna scream and wet your pants, and she's gonna be like, "What? What's wrong with you?"
Did that happen to you, Patrick?
No, that did not happen to me.
Okay. So I have another scary story. This is small. It's not as detailed as yours. But when I started here at Canopy, I was nervous about something else too. My previous job, I had worked with developers very little. Our developers were in India, overseas. It was a throw a design over the wall situation, basically.
Yeah.
I got on a couple calls with them, but it was not like working closely with developers, like we do here, where we're sitting next to them, we talk to them, we give them, back massages, all that stuff, and that was something I wasn't used to,
Yeah.
So I was afraid. I was afraid to talk to these developers when I started here at Canopy, and I remember you brought me over and was like introducing me to everyone. I was like, hi, and then
Hi, my name's Andy.
And you like took me over to the squad I'd be working with, the red squad, and like I had to do we did our stand up together, and I had no idea what to say about what I was doing or what would impress them. Like all these like really smart people, and you walk over, and it was kind of like your fish out of water story, where I like walk over and it's like really dark in their area, and they have all these really shiny like
Dude, the
RGB
lights were
keyboards,
off. Yes.
and like they had like these crazy monitor setups where they're like vertical, but there's like 4 monitors each, and they had the split. I'd never seen this before. Split keyboards.
Yeah.
They did not have. I kid you not. They did not have the letters on the keyboards, Patrick.
You were in a haunted house.
It was a haunted house. So it was intimidating, and I knew I was around like really smart people, and I was like, yeah, I'm a designer here, and I had no idea what I was supposed to do or say.
I don't know what I'm doing. I'm dumb.
Scary moment for sure.
They're like, sucker, we're gonna murder this guy.
Exactly.
Eat him for dinner.
They definitely ate me for dinner.
Dude, that was your Jodie Foster Silence of the Lambs incident right there.
That was it.
You're walking down at all these developers. Developers can be scary because they're really smart.
Yeah.
So they can be really scary, and then they look at you like oh, who's this guy that makes pictures?
Yeah.
You know?
Who's this pixel pusher?
Yeah, they don't look at you as like a respectable human being yet. Well, it was worse for you because I mean I know you enjoy working in a dark cave as well, but that squad was in the dark part of the office.
Exactly. It was scary. Every other part of the office was totally normal.
Yeah.
That part had all of the lights turned off, everything.
And their floor creaked. There was the only part of the office where their floor creaked.
Yeah, they had this old wooden floor.
There was like rats in their area.
The building never kept.
And there was like chainsaws and stuff laying on the floor, and big like machetes and stuff.
Yeah.
Only part of the office. Everywhere else was like bright. There's like cobwebs.
I'm like, Patrick, are you sure you want me to work with them?
Yes. That can be very intimidating, though.
Yeah, it can.
If you've never worked. Plus, when you work on like a squad like that, like most places, you're generally the only designer on the team.
Yeah.
So then it's like you're already outnumbered.
You're outnumbered by everybody. Yeah.
Because there's like 4 or 5 developers and then a designer and then some PM, and so then you look at the PM like it's like you went into a haunted house. And it's like you and your PM, and you just like glommed onto the PM, like, help me, please.
Yeah.
I don't understand these people.
Exactly.
They're all dressed weird.
They're all dressed weird. I don't have this many Star Wars shirts. Yeah. They have a Star Wars shirt for every day, and I only have one.
I didn't know, like, I'd watched Star Wars for years. I didn't know that all the different squads in Star Wars had different symbols and stuff. Like, I didn't know there's logos for things.
Yeah, I did not either.
I had no idea.
Not until I came to
Canopy.
Yeah.
Which is cool. Like, you get to learn all that stuff.
Yeah. You get to learn all the very detailed things of the Star Wars universe, for sure.
I remember being scared when I got my first job, and I didn't know what I was doing. I was basically an intern, and there was no other designers at the company. It was a small company. There was no other designers there, and a couple developers, a couple like PM types, and then the owners, and then like me, right? Mm-hmm. And my first projects were like pretty, I wouldn't say too intense with design work, but they were pretty heavy with design work. And I had never really worked professionally as a designer. So I remember just being totally scared out of my mind. Like, they're gonna realize I don't know what I'm doing. Like you said, like within like a day, like they're gonna know. They're gonna be like, what? And so they put me. I remember when I started, they had cubicle like desks. They weren't really cubicles, but they were like cubicles. Like they were like real desks.
Okay. And
all the developers sat on these like real desks. And then when I showed up, they like gave me my computer, and I was nervous because I'd never really used a Mac. Like I'd always used a PC.
Wow.
So I was like, I'd never really used a Mac at that time. I mean, in the past. But
you did a little bit like in elementary school, right?
Yeah. And I grew up with like an Apple IIc. So like, I mean, we had stuff, you know, but I never really had like a MacBook Pro laptop, and so just even using the operating system was going to require me like, I would look like a noob, right, using it, you know?
Yeah, because you wouldn't have to install so many updates every 10 minutes, right?
Yeah.
You'd be like, "What? Where's Windows Defender?
Yeah,
I'm waiting for Windows Defender to show up, and nothing's happening."
You just sitting at your desk like, "I'm just waiting for the virus scan to work." There's no virus scan, bro. You're like, "Oh, dang it, dang on my face." No, but I showed up and they didn't really have a desk for me.
Oh, really?
So they had like this little table, kind of like what we're sitting at, and they like moved it from a room, like a storage room,
okay,
like out and like put it in the middle of the room, kind of. And that was like my desk.
You were like at the kiddie table.
Yeah,
at Thanksgiving.
I totally was. Like up against the cubicle, like totally exposed. Everybody could see me at all times. Like they were like around me. And I just remember like, dude, I gotta figure this out fast because I was so nervous that like this guy doesn't know what he's doing. And I remember cruising over to that afternoon. for lunch. I remember leaving and cruising over to Borders bookstore. Remember Borders?
Yeah.
And they had those books at the time. And this is funny because it's only like 10 years ago. It feels ancient. But they had those web design inspiration books at the time.
It's not like web design for dummies or anything like that?
No.
Okay.
That one I already had.
Okay. Yeah. Didn't help too much.
No. But I bought a couple of those like inspirational books, and then I bought like that CSS book. Remember that one? That CSS inspiration book?
No.
And they had like a CSS reference book because I was gonna have to do. I was gonna do all of the. I was gonna do most of the HTML and CSS for the sites as well that we were
That's
building.
cool. Nice.
So I got to design them and then build like that part, and then our devs would hook up all the JavaScripty stuff and everything like that.
Nice.
So, but I was so nervous about all of that. So I remember that first night, I called my wife and I was like, I'm gonna stay in the office after everybody leaves so I can like learn how to do my job. And
So you
I
can
learned my
find-
computer that night. I took a bunch of like MacBook Pro tutorials because I didn't even know what operating like Snow Leopard. I don't even know. They're like, what's your operating system? Is it Snow Leopard? And I was like, I don't know, dude. What did you just say? It's Windows 8. I don't know what it is. But,
You got to learn all the lingo
yeah.
so you can talk by the water cooler about your Mac.
And then I remember like 3 days later, somebody asked me about a hex color. One of the other developers.
Mm-hmm.
He said something like, "Do you want it? I can code this in RGB, or I can code it in RGBA, or I can code it in hex."
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't exactly know what he was talking about. Like I knew, I'd learned about that kind of stuff in class or whatever, but like I didn't really know what the application was for, like what the context was for. Okay. And I was like, I just played it real cool. I was like, yeah, man, just RGBA, whatever, Then he looked at me funny. Like a week later, was like, oh, he was just asking me what the hex code for this pink color was. That's all he was asking. Good old days. That's when I got onto Twitter. Speaking of scary.
Oh man, social media.
That's when I got onto Twitter. I signed up for Twitter then, and I hit a bunch of people up to help me out, like designers, like other designers.
So you were looking for a mentor.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I found some on Twitter back in the good old days, and then it turned into a shit show. And now I'm off, and it feels great. But
you'll be back soon, Patrick.
I will.
I have a feeling.
Don't worry about it. I may have signed up again last night.
Oh, really? Was that a scary experience, Patrick?
It was scary. Do you remember the first time you signed up for Twitter? You didn't know what the hell you were doing.
Of course not.
And their like experience was like, what? They're like, what? What account am I following? Like they give you all these suggested accounts, and they're like, what is this? I don't even know what I'm doing. Why would I follow people? Like it was weird. It's bizarre. Anyway,
that's rough. That's
scary
rough.
first times.
That's scary. I think we've had a good run here. We're sitting here by the campfire, right?
Yeah. Couple scary stories.
I'm scared.
The lights out.
The lights are.
The lights are out.
We're up in the mountain right now.
Up in the mountains.
In the mountains. Telling scary stories
right,
by the
there's no
campfire.
Table here.
There's no table. Shh, Patrick.
Oh, did you hear that? That was a wolf.
Was it a wolf?
Yeah, that was a wolf.
You got to put that one in.
Well, next week we'll get back. We won't be scary again. Next week we'll get back to the normal topics, I guess.
Yeah.
But if you guys have topics you would like us to chat about or get people on or whatever, hit us up. #DesignMuchTopics.
DesignMuchTopics. Yeah. And what's the email address?
It's... I can't remember.
Oh, man.
I don't have my computer here. Let me see if I can figure it out. We're out here in the woods. I don't really have my computer. So,
isn't it like topics at designmuch.org?
I think so. It is. It looks like it would be topics at designmuch.org. You're right, Andy.
I'm right. Okay, sweet. That's right.
With the hashtag designmuchtopics if you're out there. And topics, by the way, just to alleviate some confusion, It's TOPICS. It's not TOPIX.
Okay.
Don't get confused. I think we've had a lot of listeners that were confused with the X thing.
Well, we are UX designers, so I can see what they were thinking there.
They wanted the experience part in there.
Yeah.
But it's TOPICS. Topics.
Hit us up with some topics. We want to throw them into our topic generator machine, so we can randomly choose them and answer your questions.
Yeah, we got to fill that thing back up. We got a little low.
Yeah.
We got to fill that thing back up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let us know. Keep us posted on the topics that you would like to hear about.
Plus our DMs are open, right?
DMs are always open.
On Twitter. Patrick's on Twitter now.
Oh, not yet.
Patrick's almost on Twitter. His DMs are going to be open real quick.
We'll get back on Twitter.
And also LinkedIn.
Yep.
You can just directly message us.
Yep.
Give us a topic.
Yep. And we got shirts. Remember? We got shirts too. We should have done some spooky like jack-o'-lantern shirts or skull shirts.
That'd be
or something.
fun. That'd be fun.
But we got shirts over at designmuch.threadless.com.
Mm-hmm.
You get a Big D shirt.
Check it out.
I'm wearing mine right now.
It looks really good.
Yeah.
But it's kind of hard to see because we're in the dark right now.
Yeah, it's hard. This one's not the glow-in-the-dark one.
Yeah, that's right.
We couldn't get it turns out the glow-in-the-dark ink didn't get approved. We were getting it from Indonesia and it came through. It was a big old hassle. We didn't get it approved, so we don't have the glow-in-the-dark t-shirts. And you can go on iTunes and rate us up.
Yeah.
Can you rate on Spotify yet? Spotify's probably
I don't think they have a
weird
rating
thing.
system,
Yeah.
but you can follow us on Spotify.
Oh yeah, you can subscribe on Spotify.
That's right.
So go follow us on Spotify. I personally like Spotify.
I think it's great.
Their new podcast platform.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Andy.
That's it. Let's start the hike back down to home.
Yeah.
And hope we
Did you bring the water to put this out? I don't want Woodsy Owl showing up again like last time. And he was all mad about we didn't put out the ashes and stuff like last time.
Did you say Woodsy the Owl?
Isn't it Woodsy Owl?
I thought it was like a bear.
Well, there's the bear guy, but
yeah.
I
haven't heard of Woodsy the Owl before.
You haven't heard of Woodsy the Owl? I think Woodsy the Owl's a thing.
I think you just made it up.
Okay, Andy, let's head back to the insane asylum.
All right.